Hey guys, welcome back to Blonde with the Pod. The setup is looking a little bit different today because I got this couch and I wanted to have it for the podcast and also just create this cute little corner to film. I thought it'd be just a little different than filming on my bed. So let me know if you guys like the new setup. If you hear any noises in the back, that is my dad watching a movie downstairs. And there's like a echoey effect, I feel like, whenever there's loud noises, so sorry about that. I know it's been a while, so I will try to update you the best I can on how life has been going. It's been going since I last filmed. I got really sick with an unknown disease, probably like the flu or something. um that wasn't great. It was also right before my birthday, but even though I struggled, it was fine. I feel like everyone gets sick at least once when the weather's changing and like keeps going back from like hot and cold. So yeah, that was not fun. And then my mental health has honestly hit almost a new low for me, which if you watched the last episode, I was talking about trying to put on a very composed front and make people think that things are going really well. And I might have just honestly jinxed myself because I ended up having to do that when I was struggling mentally. And it could be seasonal depression, it could just be anxiety and not getting a lot of sleep because my sleep has been all over the place. Has it really ever been consistent? No. My sleep has never been consistent. So just dealing with that and trying to be consistently not in a bad mood has been rough. And then I feel like my friendships are struggling. Sorry, this is just me saying how everything in my life is not going that great. But the title of this episode is that I'm trying to de-influence you. So if you think that there's influencers out there, people who live their lives and post on social media, who are in their early 20s and making it seem like they have these great lives, I'm here to tell you about mine so that you don't have to feel like you have to meet that standard. Not that I'm an influencer in any way. I don't think anyone is genuinely influenced by me. But for the people who are watching this video, at least you can be influenced to be de-influenced by whatever media you're consuming or whatever posts you see from your friends or whoever you follow on Instagram. And yeah, I'll get into it. So I thought that being in your early 20s that you would get to experience all different types of friendships and that you kind of just have friends that stay consistently in your life and that the friendship doesn't really change. It just stays the same, which is so unrealistic because you go from seeing people almost every day if you go to college with them or live with them to then having to catch up with them over the phone or FaceTiming them. And I can see that it's made a difference in my friendships. And I think the weird thing is I don't mind that it's decreased my friendships because I feel a little bit more comfortable than I thought I would with being in contact with only like one or two people on a daily basis, which is weird. Like, I used to think that having a lot of people and being in constant contact was something that was like desirable, and now it's kind of like I don't mind catching up with people once a month. And I'm not saying like, oh, I'm just better off on my own and I don't need friends. I do appreciate the friends in my life, but I don't think I'm doing a good job at keeping the friendships the way they were when I was in college. And that's on me, but it's weird that it hasn't become such a important thing to me anymore. And if you're my friend and you're thinking like, oh, this is why she hasn't been reaching out, it is weird. It's just like feeling comfortable with knowing that you don't have to depend on people and friends all the time. And I think the summertime is when I'd really start to freak out and get anxious if I hadn't heard from people in a while or hadn't reached out to people. And now that it's like college is over, you're almost in like the summertime, but an extended summer that goes forever because you literally are not going back to campus or college. And you have to get comfortable with being like, maybe I won't talk to this person ever again, or maybe all I'm gonna have all the access I have to them is through Instagram or Facebook. And it's kind of weird because you used to have so much access to them and then you have to go to like not really knowing what's going on in their lives. But it's obviously goes the other way around too, that they don't have as much access to you anymore. And it's also like there's some people that you talk to and it's just like you're talking just because you feel like you should. And I think that the people you really should be talking to are those that you get advice from. And I realized there wasn't a lot of people I was getting advice from previously. Like before graduating, I was probably more giving advice to them. And obviously, like, it goes both ways. You should be giving as much advice as you're receiving. Like, you should be helping and putting in effort as much as they are. But I was definitely a big advice giver. And now I find myself reaching out to people less because I don't have advice to give them. And so that's why it's like the communication has gotten less. I'm no longer giving them my advice and being their like therapist because I'm not in proximity to them anymore. And so I like the conversation kind of gets dry, if that makes sense. They're not going to me and being like, oh my God, I've had such a busy day, blah, blah, blah. This is what's happened because I'm not in school with them anymore. So I don't have those people coming to me. And then I also am not going to people for advice unless those are the people I know that I usually get solid, good advice from. So it is just such a weird scenario. And if you're feeling like your friendships are just slowly dwindling, you're not alone because I feel like everything that goes down must obviously go up. And so things will improve at some point. I don't know what that point is, but it has to be at some point. And maybe that's when you start really clicking with the people at work or going to workout classes or church and finding people who give you great advice there. And it's like they have closer everyday contact with you than the people who you're friends with seeing on campus. And then those become your kind of close council of friends. And that term council, I've like heard it used before, and it is so important to have a trusted council of people. And that could be family members, obviously, people that you really trust with letting them know things about your life and letting them absorb that and then give you feedback and advice, even if it's not always sugar coated advice. Sometimes it can be important stuff that you have to, it's just like hard pills to swallow, but it is so important to have those close trusted people. And sometimes it literally is just your family. If your counsel is just your parents at the moment, I relate to that too, because that's another thing is I'm not moved out yet, and I don't plan to be moved out for at least, a good portion of the year. So I'm like experiencing a different phase of life than my friends who are living in a city and having to adjust to city life and living on their own. I'm also not single. So that's another part that I don't relate to people with singleness. And I've been single for most of my life. So obviously I have things that I can relate to them, just not currently, but I'll be like, yeah, I've been there. Like, I understand the way this person is treating you or what you're going through, yada yada. So the status of my relationship is it's been long term as well, so there's not a lot to talk about. There's not a lot to my friends about. Not between me and my boyfriend. We have stuff to talk about, but to my friends as well, there's not drama, there's not juicy updates. It literally is like, oh, we spent the weekend together and went to the zoo, or we went to the flea market. It's stuff like that that is like, it's not exciting to friends. They don't really like to hear like, we had a really nice date and then we watched a movie and then we fell asleep. So having to almost not feeling like I don't have things to tell people when they're like, how's your love life? How's your relationship? A lot of friends are depicted, especially in movies, like always giving each other the latest gossip with, boys and drama, and there's always some side plot thing going on because like the guy's being a jerk, whatever. And it's just, my life is not that dramatic movie. It's quite boring. And coming to terms with the fact that I cannot relate to certain friends, and almost like I'm so there for them, but at the same time I am just not at the same phase of life as them. And I think that is totally just like something that you're always going to encounter, and it's probably going to, it could be, flipped the other way in the future. Um Hopefully not, but it very well could be. So I might be the single friend and they might be the friend in the relationship, and it's like, as long as you find that common ground of things to talk about, and I'm talking about the everyday things, I can find some of my friends' everyday life so entertaining. And those are the friendships that I love the most. Like, tell me about how you were in the bathroom trying to fix your makeup for 20 minutes. Tell me about how you're going to go to your hairdresser and ask for a new style. Tell me about like when you were in a parking lot and someone weird came up to your window. Like, it's just like stuff like that. Like, I don't need to hear about the juiciest gossip ever. Sometimes it's just the stuff I want to hear is literally you walking to your apartment and just telling me what you see if we're on FaceTime. On the topic of relationships, though, if you're in high school or college and you are not in a relationship and you haven't been in one yet, I was literally single until I was, well, it's hard to actually say how long I was single for because there was a really brief relationship that I dated someone for a month, and it's just like really hard to classify that as a real relationship. But even then, I was single until I was 16 or 17. Not a single kiss, not a single hug from a man except for my dad. So it's like I was not in a relationship. I didn't really think guys thought of me as being attractive, and I'm not fishing for compliments, but like I just didn't really talk to guys until maybe the end of high school. And then I never had a real relationship until the one I'm in right now, which I got into when I was 21. And wait, that is not right. I got into it when I was 22, and I'm 23 now. And this is my first ever real relationship. Like, real, genuine. It's been over a year, like that type of relationship. No shade to the person I dated for a month, but this is like official, official. So do not feel bad if you're in your 20s and you're like, wait, I'm not in a relationship and haven't been yet. It's coming, and you will get the experience, all the experience you need with just one relationship, in my opinion. It's not more beneficial to have more relationships because I don't think having more relationships teaches you more. That's just not, it's not true. It's not, more relationships does not equal more knowledge. You can get everything you need to learn from dating one person and exploring that, getting to know them, going on dates. It'll soon become very natural to you. So do not be nervous about the first date, the first kiss. What do I do when they come over? What do I do on the date? Do I let them open the door for me? Just assess and check the vibe, see if they're a gentleman. If they're not, you might want to reassess and you might want to go home and never text them again. But honestly, that whole like anxiety about like, do I let them pay? Do I ask to split the bill? Definitely just go with context clues. Ask other people, ask your friends, but don't be embarrassed if your first relationship is at 22. I don't regret not trying harder to get in a relationship in high school, honestly. I think it's good to just focus on whatever you have on your plate and then let the relationship come to you. Not saying you don't have to pursue things though. I definitely pursued the relationship I'm in right now. I made sure that this person knew how I felt about them. Don't hide your feelings, but also don't try to force anything. That will be the whole relationship segment. In light of being transparent and honest, I got a lip flip. So this is feel like this is de-influencing, is like this is not natural. No, the like lip flip is very, it's a minor procedure, as well as master Botox. So I'm actually noticed that my face looks a lot slimmer, and I know people get it for like TMJ, which is, I think, when you tense up your jaw and grind your jaw. I don't think I had that, but I just got it and I'm really pleased with the results. That's something that I feel like I could never be like lie about is Botox or filler. If I got something, then I absolutely would just tell people because I don't know, why not? It's nothing to be ashamed of, but it's also not something that you want to make people think that it's like everything is natural if it's not. In terms of overconsumption, I people are constantly pushing products on you on TikTok, on corporate fashion TikTok, which is like if you have a corporate job, you know people are trying to buy all these clothes, trying to look like they go into the office and they have the cutest outfits on. I stopped trying to dress cute for work, honestly, after the first 2 or 3 months. And I made my little TikToks of going to the office and what I would wear. I don't do that anymore. And honestly, I wear the same like 6 tops to work and I just rotate those. And I wear the same like 2 pairs of shoes. And it's on, I wish I could say that I curated and made outfits look cute, but I don't. And that's just because I have no extra funds. And also, I shouldn't be using my money to buy clothes, just in terms of saving money. That's also something I want to talk about is I didn't realize people saved their money at my age or even earlier than that. I didn't know that you were really supposed to have a savings account until a couple weeks ago. And that's crazy. Why did I think you weren't supposed to have I just don't even know. I didn't think it wasn't brought to my attention. The concept of a savings account was not brought to my attention. I didn't realize people my age at this point had 10K saved. And when I heard that, I was like, $10,000 in your savings account, and I don't even have a savings account. I'm at zero. So that was something that was alarming and daunting. The fact that I didn't prepare anything for savings, and my spending habits in college were not the best. And I really tried to have concepts of saving money when I got my job. It wasn't until I actually made a full separate account and put money in there that I actually started saving money. So if you think, oh, well, I'll let the $200 that I'm saving this week just sit in my debit account and I won't put it in checkings, it's still going to get used, I fear. I fear that you're still going to use it, and you need to stop yourself from using that by putting it in a separate account that is not linked to a card, or you don't touch that card, that you're not spending that money. And that is the only way for me and for most people that it will get saved. You're also supposed to have an emergency fund. Didn't know that either. And the recommended amount for emergency fund is $1,000. I realized that if my car broke down that day, I would have nothing to pay the person with if it cost more than like $500. And I thought about that. What if my car literally, what if I got a flat tire? What if I needed something, a new part for my car, something that I need to go to work for every day, and I don't have an emergency fund, which is for emergencies? That would have been fine, in college because I don't know. I feel like college are just winging it. But at this grown age, I'm like, okay, stuff is getting real. Emergency fund is happening. And shout out the app that my church recommended and gave everyone a subscription for. It's called Every Dollar. I highly recommend. I'm pretty sure there's a free account and then there's an account you could pay for. I don't think it's that expensive per month, but you track all of your transactions, all of your expenses, and actually figure out how much you're spending on each thing. And people on the internet make it look so easy to just save money and buy clothes. And a lot of times they're actually tracking that and making sure they don't go over budget. People aren't posting, oh, I just spent my emergency fund on clothes. No, they make it look like their money is coming from nowhere when really they've been having that locked and ready to spend on that specific thing. I feel like the influencers who have the most effortless lifestyles are actually the most organized because they couldn't get that successful without having some sort of budgeting plan, without managing their accounts, without making sure that they're not spending all their money. And that's why popular influencers, like even like Jake and Logan Paul, they actually have to be smart about their money. Like I feel like that's most influencers know they have to be smart, otherwise they could end up literally on live stream begging for money. So be smart about your money, and if it's not coming effortlessly to you, get down to business, because most people have to try hard to track their expenses, and especially if you're at the point where you're spending on multiple things per month, the car payment, the subscriptions for apps, and then doctor's appointments, health, it gets very easy to lose track of those things. So make sure you're being smart. And if you haven't even looked at any of that, if you haven't even thought about it, don't worry. I hadn't either, but it's becoming a lot more natural to me, at least with the app. That stuff is becoming more natural, and you can do it. This is probably the last thing I will de-influence you about, is that your phone is not there to help you. It's not there to increase your mental health. And being on your phone as much as like you feel like I have to be on social media, and I don't know if anyone's influencing this, but they're making it seem like your phone isn't as dangerous as it is. And I know the dangers because I currently am addicted to my phone. I am so obsessed and addicted to TikTok and consuming media and listening to podcasts, filling up the empty space. And I'm going to be the person to say I have a problem with it and I need to like actually seek help. I don't know. There should be programs to get you off your phone. And I would sign up for that program. Um, I think that not enough people are showing the effects of being on your phone for however many hours a day. And when people do talk about it, it's like literally people are like, just put the phone down. Well, it's not that easy, especially when you have identity issues and your identity is tied to these creators, tied to these trends. And that is such a sad way to live. And I think about my life and I think it's sad because why can't I get control of my social media addiction? I don't know if that was technically de-influencing, but I'm going to try to influence you to take it seriously. Talk about it with a friend, talk about it with a trusted individual, because if you think it's impairing your life, it probably is. And I talk about it with my friend all the time, and I'm like, I do all these things. I put a restriction on TikTok. I have an app that I have to actually press a button to open my social media apps. That's how bad it's gotten to. And I was talking about this the other night. I was like, I like consuming content partially because I like making content. And I don't know. I think it should be normalized to be chronically offline. Like being online, it's like, oh, well, you can talk about trends. You can say a trending TikTok sound and someone will understand it. You can do a funny dance move and someone's going to get that. But sometimes you just got to be the person who doesn't understand what the is going on. Just be the person who's like, I don't know what that is. I don't know what you're talking about. And you know what? It'll probably pass. After 2 seconds, the person will be like, "Oh, okay, you don't know what I'm talking about. Okay, let's just move on to the next thing." And I think I'm scared to be that person, but I think I need to get used to being out of the loop. And when I say out of the loop, I just mean out of the chronically online TikTok loop. Also, maybe develop some passions of your own. Like, get into music that not a lot of people listen to. Start finding really niche things to watch on your TV. Find weird books. I don't know. Honestly, you should be the person being like, oh my god, this book is so good. And then make the other person be like, I don't know what you're talking about. You know, someone is always gonna be like out of the loop, and start creating your own little trends with yourself, little inside jokes with yourself, because you get it. You get it. You see eye to eye. You see it with yourself. That is probably all I have for de-influencing you. Oh, also, I love ASMR, and it's not weird. I mean, obviously ASMR is not weird. It's so normalized at this point, but let's normalize using ASMR to go to sleep and take naps. Big advocate for that. And to all the ASMR artists out there, keep doing what you're doing because I love it, and will watch ASMR till the day I die. When the doctor is like, what do you want to spend your last 10 minutes doing? Pull up that ASMR roleplay. Give me that ASMR brushing on the mic for 10 minutes straight, please, sir. And a peaceful sleep will be invoked within me. So that is all. I hope you guys had a great start to your spring, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye.